Welcome to Americans for Limited Governments podcast. We are here today, Frank McCaffrey, Rick Manning, and what we want to talk about. There's a lot of great stuff going on, and I got the opportunity to do something really neat yesterday. I got to go to the White House and be in that East Wing room where Donald Trump gave his vindication, or as I call it, victory speech, and took on the entire deep state establishment, laying out James Comey and the various actors who spent 3 years trying to take down his presidency. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And also, we got the job numbers that came out today, and there's some interesting information in them. And so I wanted to go over that a little bit. Frank, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. It has been one of the craziest weeks I've ever seen because we've had Iowa, we had the impeachment, we had, you name it, we had everything this week. The State of the Union, the speech being torn up. There's so much to talk about. You almost don't know where to start.
Well,
I got to say, do you really think that any president could have endured what Donald Trump has endured during his presidency?
Well, I think I think he has been extraordinary, not just because he was able to take on a vast establishment determined to take down his presidency, but because he was able to get things done. Also, he wasn't consumed by his presidency. Wasn't consumed by the attacks on him, by the illegitimate attacks on him, by those that we've entrusted with our intelligence services to protect our country from foreign enemies from afar. They attacked this president and sought to take him down. The fact that he was able to continue on and get numerous trade deals done, create circumstances where the economy is booming, and get taxes done and get tax cuts done and get a whole bunch of regulations, far more regulations cut than they wrote, really freeing up the energy sector is just amazing to me. And so, I don't think anybody else would have been able to do that. The strength of this president, the power of this president, the stamina of this president to be able to take on all comers and come out victorious is pretty astonishing.
Now, I have a theory about this. Years ago, you guys kind of joked about the way I thought and talked a lot about boxing and wrestling and used boxing and wrestling references. I think Trump is the same way. He's a boxing and wrestling fan, and I think he's thinking like, hey, I'm a boxer. These guys are coming at me and hitting me with every shot they can. I got to stand in there and wait and wait and wait and then nail him with that counterpunch. And I got to let the world know I caught him with that counterpunch. And he's a career counterpuncher, and it's worked for him. And he's really done well with that. We remember him doing that during the debates in 2016, where he would just lay out Republican opposition with when they would come after him. And now he's doing that to the Democratic opposition. It's just incredible. What was the feel like in that speech, during that speech, Rick? Can you describe the enthusiasm in the room?
Well,
was there a positive vibe?
Yeah, it was electric. People were, feeling victorious, feeling, people in that room were people who, the cabinet officials were there, and as President Trump said, they didn't do much in this because they couldn't. But by and large, people were in that room were people who had skin in the game, people who'd fought, people who had done everything they could to try to take on these attacks on the president, these illegitimate attacks on the president, and expose them, and defeat them, and that's why it was so exciting to be there. Probably the most underrated part of the thing was when before the president came out, a spontaneous standing ovation erupted when Jay Sekulow and Pat Cipollone and Philbin and others came out and took seats, because it was recognizing the incredible job they did in creating the rationality and creating actually deconstructing the articles of impeachment there on the Senate floor. And so there was a real recognition of the professionalism and the work that they did, because those guys worked night and day and night to try to create the legal case and to debunk the House legal case, and did an extraordinary job. Quite honestly, I think they educated America about the law. For anybody who's watching, it was an extraordinary education watching these guys talk, and just you felt like I was getting my first year in law school.
Yeah, if you watch what they were saying and you read what people like Dershowitz were saying, it is clear that the system is set up, and it was set up many, many years ago to weed out what we'd have to call frivolous impeachment cases because they're going to happen. And I'm
Yeah.
sure the people who came up with the laws knew that that's going to happen. They're made to weed out frivolous impeachment cases. And I was telling a lot of people during this whole thing that if Andrew Johnson, who fumbled Reconstruction, can survive impeachment, Donald Trump can probably survive too. In fact, he will, because this is essentially a
Well,
frivolous lawsuit that's been packaged as the impeachment of the
yeah.
president of the United States. I
Well,
mean, it's just how people thought he would be found guilty is beyond me.
well, let me tell you what I said on OAN last night with Graham Ledger. The fact is, the president has weathered this impeachment. Who knows what could have been done if the Democrats had focused on actually trying to govern rather than constantly impeaching. Quite honestly, I'm not sure I would have liked what would have been done. But from a political perspective, the Democrats don't pay any price for this frivolous impeachment, for this partisan impeachment. They don't pay a price unless people go to the polls and remove them from office. Because ultimately, the reason they went forward with this impeachment was a sense that they were supporting their most radical elements in their party, who were demanding that they do something about Donald Trump. They've raised millions upon millions of dollars attacking Donald Trump, calling him every name in the book and some that aren't in the book. And so they've built a constituency that demanded that they impeach Donald Trump. So if they don't pay a political price at the polls, if they don't get removed from office, if they don't get removed from power and but pushed back into the minority, if those things don't happen, then the Democrats will have been vindicated for doing what they did, because they will still hold the seats of power to continue their shenanigans in 2021, 2022, 23, and 24 most likely. And the president will be hamstrung by as Spiro Agnew would have said, the nattering nabobs of negativity who are running around the House, who's basically anything the president does, they scream impeach, 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 with
Yeah.
no rational thought whatsoever.
And now the people know that that is not something that can be thrown around in impeachment. They've learned this hard way, and I don't think that
Well,
anyone's going to stand for it.
well,
This is a victory.
they need to throw the guys out. I mean, Frank, here's the thing: the people don't matter. I mean, the people don't matter unless at the ballot box they take the people who put this fraudulent impeachment on the floor of the Senate. That means your House members and the senators who voted for impeachment. You need to go, and you have to go and let them know at the ballot box that you are not amused. And so they lose the opportunity to be in Congress again. If that doesn't occur, then the Democrats will say the impeachment was worth it, and tying up the country was worth it, and splintering the country was worth it. They will make that calculation because this has always been about politics. And so since it was about politics, the lesson does not get learned unless the Democrats are in the minority in 2021 in the House of Representatives and in the minority in the Senate in 2021. That requires a lot of work, requires a lot of effort, and requires people who sit there and they're upset about impeachment to do more than be upset, do more than just post on Facebook, but to go and get your friends registered to vote, to mobilize people in your local community, to take the circle of influence you have and turn it into voters who are going to go out and reject the Democrat congressman who foisted this on the American public. That's what has to happen. If that doesn't happen, then the Democrats will declare victory on November 4th after they've kept control of the House. So
And we're seeing that they're very willing to spend a lot of money. Now, we only have a few more minutes here left, but another victory for Trump is the jobs numbers. Can you tell us what they are, and will that continue? And we were expecting, seasonal jobs to go away, but we're still seeing growth.
Oh yeah, huge job growth. I'm not going to talk about the unemployment rate this month because they changed the statistical way they did it. It's really hard to compare last month to this month. So rather than talk about that side of it, I'm going to talk about the side where the employers report how many jobs they created. And the report this month showed 225,000 jobs created. This far exceeds the estimates of 156,000 that were out there. It also far exceeds the average for 2019, which was 175,000. And what that tells you, and even the Bloomberg press, even the left wing press is saying this, and that is that the jobs economy is strong. That there is we are looking at, as opposed to the recession that was predicted, we are looking at an ongoing jobs boom in America, and that it can only be attributed to Donald Trump's policies. I'll give you one other little stat on it. They have every week there's a unemployment when people file new unemployment claims, which means they just became unemployed. The Department of Labor tracks that, and that number, and they do it on a week to week basis, and that's really kind of volatile. But but you see, you look at it over a 4 week basis and kind of the average. Well, that average is now down at near record levels in terms of being low. It was about 207.75 in terms of how many unemployment insurance claims were filed over the past, on average per week. That's an extraordinarily low number. What it means is people aren't filing for unemployment insurance in any great quantity, and as a result, that tells you that there aren't that many layoffs. That tells you that that the economy continues to thrive. When that number bumps above about 325, you've got to sit there and say, okay, we're seeing some warning signs here. It's solidly 120,000 below the warning sign level and almost at record low levels in terms of unemployment insurance claims. So it's very good news moving forward when combined with the 225,000 jobs created report. And lastly, in that report, a lot of those jobs were construction jobs because the home building industry has been really lagging the rest of the economy, and the construction jobs were really were one of the drivers of that 225,000. And so what you're looking at is new homes being built and demand for new homes, which means guess who's buying those new homes? Millennials are going out and adulting and getting married and having kids and buying a house as opposed to living in an urban apartment. And that's what we're seeing occur in the economy. And that is really good news because home building will drive an economy all on its own if it starts to thrive. And it looks like we're at the beginning of a home building boom.
Okay, and now we have to wrap it up soon here. I just wanted to say I also think that it's interesting to note that the coronavirus fears and the impeachment had little or no impact on the market and the jobs picture. That was something I've heard a lot of people say. Oh, that's going to be devastation to the marketplace, and no one cared about the impeachment. No investors really cared about.
Nobody cared about impeachment because they knew it wasn't going to happen. The coronavirus is a little bit different in that we still don't know how that's going to play out. There are a lot of people who've lost their lives or are sick because of the coronavirus, and so there is a tragedy that's gone on. But obviously, it hasn't had a heavy impact on the economy. There is some small impact in that people who have retail orders into China. Many of those retail orders are being delayed, or essentially people are being given their money back because they can't meet it because the factories that would produce them are shut down because all the workers are at home in somewhat isolation. So it is so there is some impact in terms of being able to get retail goods out of China over the internet, but overall we haven't seen the kind of devastating impact that one might have expected and certainly feared. And let's hope that the virus becomes, that we're able to control it and the loss of life is minimized and that the supply chains can get back to normal.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you very much, Rick Manning. Thank you for watching. Time to wrap it up and wish you all a good day.
Hit the subscribe button right there. Hit the subscribe button.
Subscribe.
So that's what we need is subscribe. Okay, Frank, you have a good day. Thank you. And we will be back on Monday talking about whatever crazy thing happened over the weekend. And by the way, for all you folks who sit there and say, think that this is a long week, you're right, because you know what? The Super Bowl was 5 days ago, and it's been usurped 17 times over by the news cycles. And I think
Yeah.
we basically ran over nobody's talking about the Super Bowl before it went off the news page before Patrick Mahomes even got to go to Disney World. So
Yeah.
we will see you on Monday, and take care.